Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be reacting to a neuroscientist challenges Lakhani, Hindu Academy. Sorry about my voice, I'm sick, so hopefully there won't be too many pauses of me coughing, so I don't cough into the mic. But first, this is the question I'm going to be answering at the end of the video. Someone wrote, "I'm sorry, but white men don't have enough of an unprejudiced point of view to be able to talk about how it's wrong to be angry about systematic racism." Really, in your opinion, sounded like some regurgitated point that racism apologists are all saying. And just in case you were open to being schooled, I hope so. Since you like schooling others, people of color don't hate white people. They hate racism. They hate blind ignorance. And they hate being oppressed by a racist culture. Okay? Let's see. And that is righteous. Because that hate is rooted in wanting to make things better for everyone and to heal. Quit your woe is me crying. And by the way, sandal paste is a paste of sandalwood, meaning it is a perfume. That's good to know. Whenever I think of sandal, I think of sandal. But the rest of that, hopefully I don't forget, will be at the end of the video. Alright, so let me pause real quick and get the video up. Okay, so here's the video. Let's go ahead and get started.
The issue that springs to my mind is one that relates to the conflicts that a lot of young people have between what they're taught as scientists at universities and what they're taught in meetings such as this. And one issue that is, I think, at the forefront of that is the general approach. And the approach that you are putting forward is that you find truth through introspection, through subjective awareness, and so on. And what we are taught in universities and what scientists often teach us is that your senses deceive you, your mind deceives you, and you should never trust anything that you experience unless you have an objective verification of that. And even William James, that you mentioned earlier, said that at every corner, at every turn, our senses deceive us. So how do you resolve those conflicts?
Okay. First of all, let me introduce Narendra Bhai, who just asked the question. He's a neuroscientist, so he's in full right to challenge any ideas of religion and go to the heart of the matter and say, but there are issues here which do not really sit well with, say, the ideas of science or empirical science. So how do you reconcile? Marvelous question. I'll give, for the lay people, I'll give you a fast crash course on logical positivism from which this question arises. This is what it says. The logical positivists are the people who say, look, we are fed up of fluffy stuff entering the field of science. We want science to be pristine and pure and clean cut, and we hate fluffy stuff entering our field. This is how we are trying to put a simple language, simple gloss on a very complex thing. So they say the following. They say, we will only accept as a statement as being meaningful. They see the word meaningful. Again, you see straightway that word is now already kind of lighting up, being meaningful. What do you mean by meaningful? Well, let's go along with this idea. We'll only consider a statement to be meaningful, flashing lights, meaning. What do you mean by meaningful? Everything is meaningful. Meaningful if it can be verified by empirical evidence. What is empirical? Means it can be verified by sense experience. Now, Narendra Bhai himself says sense experience are risky. But this empiricist said, well, this is the best we have got. So unless there's a little click on my oscilloscope or something happens and say, yes, I can visually see a little track here left by this electron, I will not relate to it. It must be something that my five senses, my seeing, etc., I can tabulate it. I need it to be I must have my five senses grab hold of it. It must be an empirical evidence. Okay, this is one part. Secondly, they said, now, whatever evidence I gather, I am going to produce, if you like. Now, this is the part where, without realizing it, these logical positivists are entering the field of non-empirism, or if you like, non-materialism, by saying that we will produce a thought system, if you like, a particular model, which will in a way allow me to give a congruent or a coherent explanation of the events that I observe in front of me. This is how science progresses. I do an experiment, certain things that I can verify with my senses, yes, this is no poetry, and now I've got a theory that will explain this particular set of events or objects, how they're interrelated. And that theory I call theory of gravitation, electromagnetism, or neuroscience. So I've got a mental model. I'm already using a mental model. This is not something that can be reduced to sense data. A mental model, which is almost a metaphysical model, plus empirical evidence, and I'm going to combine the two, and anything that kind of agrees with a kind of coherent, cogent mental model fitted with empirical evidence, that I call meaningful. The rest I call poetry. Good if you like poetry, good for you, keep singing, good for you, but it's not empirical science. This is how they try to divide. Now, this particular journey was going very well until science stepped into the 21st and 20th century. The science then suddenly discovered that what it was relying on, the material world and the empirical evidence, suddenly appeared to be not set in stone, but made of standing on sand, quicksand in fact, not even steady sand. It began to disappear under their feet. So the reason why I take great pride in studying quantum mechanics, because this is the way I can trump a neuroscience, hopefully, is to bring down quantum. And again, this is the same thing. This is what they're telling us. They're saying that you want to reduce everything to matter, lump of matter, and its attribute, its spin, its charge, its mass. My friend, says quantum mechanics, this is the heart of all the sciences, including all the biological science, all the physical science, that say, oh dear, when we try to grab hold of this thing, the material thing, it just vanishes. It just appears as nothing but a wiggle in existence. It's just a wiggle, a dance of existence. There is no material thing underpinning this material world. So you say, in that case, what are we sitting on? Just a wiggle of existence. So suddenly we discover that empiricism and the idea of relating everything to just matter and any epiphenomena is suddenly on its own quicksand. It doesn't have a solid foundation. Itself is shaky to the core. That is why since the 1920s, every scientist, including this great Einstein, they're pulling their hair out because they can't allow that. The objective reality has disappeared and replaced by a mathematical reality, a metaphysical reality. So quantum is no longer defined as a material kind of science. It is purely a mathematical conjecture, pure mathematics, nothing else. If you'd ask what is the psi function, they say, don't ask. We have no idea. But it fits and it gives us answers about your DNA, about your computer chip. But we are now entered into a realm where we don't have the vocabulary for it. But the only thing we can say is non-material. So suddenly empiricism itself. Look, the reason why I love science, that's why I'm very pleased that I did science, is this. It is through this very one-pointed, very focused, a system with tremendous integrity. That's why you must bow down to science. Look, why can't you look? In just 100 years, the lifespan of whole of humanity has been doubled because of the advance of science, of allopathic medicine. Doubled. In the name of science, look, sand, silicon, sand. You can put it in a little chip here, and you get all these marvelous pictures, and you can interact, communicate, and as Tony said, internet, everything. Just sand. And this has happened by a very focused approach in science, which produces all these marvelous gizmos. It allows us tremendous way of harnessing reality. Do not take anything away from science, and do not attack its integrity. So this idea of spirituality that comes from Vivekananda is not attacking the integrity. In fact, it says, please carry on. Take your science to its conclusion. And if you find that we are not meeting up, then you challenge us. But we are meeting up. And that's how I finished my first session. It is here the science kind of shakes hands with spirituality. All this is a wiggle in existence, Akash and Prana. Even, you see, everything, look, all the faculties we possess, the material world, okay, looks solid. Underpinning it is, if you like, a mental world that we use to make sense of the world. You can't avoid it. Suppose I say, how do I see the universe? Sorry, I must go on. You see, suppose I see a table in front of me. The table doesn't go inside my brain and knock and say, oh, okay, I'm here. I just get sensation. The sensations are now projected on the back of my retina. From there, they go to some inner center in my brain, from where, how does this objective kind of information translate into a subjective experience? The neuroscience says we have no clue. What is this thing that turns objective reality into a subjective experience? What is this patch of pink? This is how they define it. We have difficulty in, this is called the hard problem of consciousness. It becomes a serious issue. So here you see it's already now showing that you can no longer keep physical away from the metaphysical. You need to tie them together. And all the kind of mature scientists, whether it's Niels Bohr or Werner Heisenberg or Paul Dirac, are recognizing there is more to us than meets the eye. So reducing everything to matter in sub-phenomena will not take us far. That's why science is shuddering. Shuddering is the right word. And where is the biggest shudder? Quantum, it wins. This is where suddenly the doorway of spirituality has been opened up for the whole of humanity. We are no longer limited to a stodgy materialistic worldview. It has been broken free. And again, you see, when I see this marvelous term like Richard, listen, you must give full marks to Richard Dawkins. I'm trying to make friends with him through this. Is this?
Before it goes on to that, oh my, this is stuff that's really way beyond me. I definitely need to look up the hard question of conscious. I've been meaning to do that. I keep forgetting. And I also need to look up some quantum science. I know there's supposed to be quantum computing, but at the moment, or at least as last I've heard, it was kind of very slow. I don't know. I think in particular cases it's faster than just whatever regular computing is. I don't know what they call it, but quantum computing is a little bit slower in terms of everything else. But in terms of maybe doing quantum stuff, I think it's faster. I can't remember. It's been a long time. I've only heard it once or twice. And now talking about, like, I know he does a lot of what is it? Quantum science. I don't exactly know what that is, but I definitely should start just touching up on it to have the basic idea of what it is. And the interesting thing about the hard question of consciousness, I definitely need to watch that for sure. I don't think I can react to those. I probably won't anyway, but I will watch it on my own time because it's very interesting. I definitely need to look into that.
This guy says, look, first reduces us to this little gene called the selfish gene. And then how does he conclude his story about the selfish gene? People don't read the conclusion. They just start the beginning as a horrible man. He's saying there's no God and it's all just genes. This man is saying, but what humanity has learned is this. We do not play along with the selfish gene. We fight the tyranny of the selfish gene. We want to break free from the, if you like, the materialistic agenda of the gene. This is what humanity is about. Otherwise, we'll continue to be like animals, biting each other, killing each other. Only the superior wins, the survival of the fittest. That is not Richard Dawkins. He said, we must step back. Why should we step back? He said, I don't know, but we as human beings must fight the tyranny of... You see, he's becoming spiritual without using the word spiritual. He hates the word. He hates religions. Let him. The more passionate he is, the more spiritual I see him.
I mean, he is evolution biologist, was it? I can't quite remember, and I do remember watching a lot of his videos back in the day when I watch a lot of usually Abrahamic religions versus Richard Dawkins and stuff like that. And because again, I'm atheist, I don't believe in any God. There's been no proof and no experience that I've had to prove that there is a God. So that's the reason why I'm that. Is there anything out there that could change my mind? Possibly. What is it? I don't know. If there is a God out there that's all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-seeing, then they would know, or it would know, what that would take. But yeah, I couldn't really say much in this one. I definitely, it reminds me to go look up the hard question of consciousness and to look up a little bit about quantum physics. Alright, so I'm going to pause real quick and I'm going to get that question up. Okay, so again, with the question, I'm not trying to attack you, but we gotta learn a little bit of history. I don't even know much about history either, but through a few things in videos I've learned. So I'm sorry, but white men don't have enough of an unprejudiced point of view to talk about how it's wrong to be angry about systematic racism. Well, I do hope that you know that every race has been slaves or has faced racism as well. There's not a single race out there who has never faced racism. Also, if you're assuming that I'm white, you're wrong. I'm not white. So men, yeah. And your opinion sounded like some regurgitated point of view of racism apologists are all saying. I don't know which one you're particularly talking about, but yeah, I'm not for racist people. If you could give me the quote, I could maybe say it a little bit better, and maybe you'll understand a little bit better. I don't know. Again, I don't know what quote you're taking from me, but I'm not saying anything for the racist apologist. Just in case you were open being schooled, well, I'm not open to being schooled. I'm open for learning, for sure. I'm not here to school anyone. I'm here to just give my opinion. And if you want to take it, that's fine. If you think it's complete gibberish, that's also fine. I hope so, since you like schooling people. I don't like schooling people necessarily. I hope people will learn. That's about it. People of color don't hate white people. They hate racism. They hate blind ignorance, and they hate being oppressed by racist culture. Well, what is, like, you say a racist culture, but what is a racist culture though? And you make it seem like people of color are the one that's being oppressed by white people, because I'm making an assumption here that white people are not people of color. And also I was not let's see, by race. Also, you can think of any culture, let's see, people blind ignorance and hate being oppressed by a racist culture. So also, again, you can think of any culture. I was not born in that culture. Again, I think you're probably assuming that I was born in a culture that's racist, which I'm not. I wasn't born in that culture. And you can think of any country and practically almost any culture, and I'm pretty sure I'm not born in that country or that culture. And that's righteous, because hate is rooted in wanting to make things better for everyone and to heal. Now, I will disagree with you there. Hate just creates more hate. You don't fight hate with hate. That's like fighting fire with fire. The one hero that I will say that I kind of have is Daryl Davis. If you've never seen his videos, it's a really good video. A lot of people will call him a fool, and I can see why, but I see him as, in a sense, a guy with a lot of guts. I highly suggest looking him up just to see who he is and what he's about, and it's up to you whether you want to watch his video or not. I think it's genuinely amazing. He also has a TED Talk too, but anyways, hate doesn't create healing, because the problem is people tend to I won't say mislead things, but they tend to misunderstand things. You like, if they say, oh, they hate racism, and then they associate racism with white people, then they start saying they hate white people, and that's the problem. I don't think hate is the right way to fight hatred. I don't think hate's the fight racism. That's definitely not the right way. Quit your woes is me crying. Quit your woe is me crying. I'm assuming you think I'm like whining or crying. And thank you for the sandal paste. I did not know it's perfume. That's interesting. Although I did see sandalwood actually, and I've been wanting to get, I think there's a lotion or a perfume. It's called sandalwood, mahogany sandalwood. Haven't gotten it yet. It smells, I think it smells pretty good. I don't remember. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question and statements. I am not white, and I was not born nor completely raised in a racist culture. As a matter of fact, I think, no, I can't say the other one. And the reason why I don't state my race or where I was born or my culture is because there are people out there who will make an assumption about you and then put all these labels and identities on you and then attack you, even though they know nothing about you. So this is the reason why I don't say where I'm from, where I was born, and what my race is, because I think it's very, in my opinion, ignorant of people to assume things about other people they don't know about. I try not to. Don't get me wrong. I get faulted for that a lot too. So I do try to be better about it. It's very difficult. I understand that, and throughout this video, I've been trying to follow what a lot of the gurus and swamis here talk about, especially Sadhguru, about identities. And the motto that I followed is it's okay to have identities so long as you don't use them as a weapon. And being white or men or women or black or Asian or whatever is all identities. If you use that as a way of hating someone, then it's a weapon. Use that as a way of joining together or exploring each other's cultures. I think that's a great tool. A tool can be used for good or bad. So generally speaking, in America, as far as I remember, white men are probably one of the most hated groups. Why? Well, there's an assumption that white men create racism and all that, when in reality, I do believe most white men aren't evil or bad. They're just white men, that's it. Now, per individual basis, yeah, absolutely, there could be some evil, bad white men. Could be evil, bad black men, evil, bad Asian men, bad, evil, bad Middle Eastern men, evil, bad Pacific Islander men, you know, and same thing goes for women. It's just per individual basis. I try not to group lumps of people together because I understand that, you know, one person or a small group of people is not responsible for the larger group, or the larger group isn't responsible for the small hateful group. We have to point out the individuals that are doing bad things and get them to change their ways. Again, I point to Daryl Davis because I want to aspire to do things like he does, but what he does is extremely difficult, and I genuinely believe his way is the way to stop hate. All kinds of hate. Anyway, like I said before, I hope that answers your question. You can reply down below if you want to talk some more. I can't guarantee that I get to it. There's a lot of comments, but yours just happens to be the last comment on here. Anyways, that's my reaction to this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.